Welcome to the training lesson on the Digital Stores Management System, or DSMS, often pronounced DSMS. We'll conduct this lesson right here on the ramp, so I'm going to run the batteries and bring up some systems. DSMS is the primary interface between the pilot and payload. In the A-10C, weapon profiles are used to select and configure the weapon of choice, so that you are not really selecting a weapon per se, but selecting a profile which has a weapon assigned. For example, you can create multiple profiles for a particular weapon to prepare for various tactical scenarios. DSMS allows you to create and customize up to 20 profiles, each saved under a unique name. Profiles can be cycled by DSMS controls on the MFCD, the select rocker on the UFC, or HOTAS controls when the HUD is sorted. A selected profile is called an active profile and is displayed on the bottom left corner of the HUD. DSMS includes the following pages: status page, inventory select page, selective jettison page, and missile control page. Some of these have additional subpages. The DTS upload page is now up. Press OSB 18 on the left MFCD to upload the DSMS data. Okay, now let's select the DSMS page with OSB 14. You are now looking at the status page, which is the primary display of the DSMS. This page allows you to quickly view the following information: weapon inventory and status for each of the 11 stations, release settings for the active profile, gun status and ammunition remaining, EO power timer if Maverick is active. At the top of the display, OSB 1, 2, and 4 and 5 allow you to access the other pages of the display. Without pressing any buttons, take a moment to become familiar with the display. Press the spacebar key when you are ready to proceed. Let's set the master arm to training mode. Right-click once to set the switch to train. The blue indication on the DSMS denotes training mode. White indicates master arm safe, and green indicates master arm arm. As you can see, stations 1 through 11 are displayed sequentially clockwise, starting from the bottom left corner. Each station box indicates the profile name, which usually corresponds to the designation of the loaded weapon and the quantity remaining. Depending on the weapon, additional information may be contained inside the box, such as the launcher configuration or weapon sensor status. In the bottom center of the display, the cannon data block indicates the ammunition type and amount remaining. The center of the display indicates the current HUD mode and additional details of an active profile where one is selected. Press the spacebar key to proceed. Starting with Station 1 on the left side of the aircraft, we are carrying the ALQ-131 ECM pod, an LAU-68 2.75-inch rocket pod with 7 training rounds loaded, an AGM-65D, a BRU-42 rack with 3 BDU-33 training bombs, and a GBU-38. Continuing to the right side, we have another GBU-38, another BRU-42 rack, an AGM-65K, the AAQ-28 lighting pod, and the LAU-105 launcher loaded with 2 AIM-9Ms. We are also carrying 1,150 target practice rounds for the gun. Let's first cycle through the default profiles loaded from the DTS. To do this, we need to take the HUD out of Guns mode and into either CCIP or CCRP modes. Press the HOTAS Master Mode button or the M key on the keyboard once. We can now cycle the profiles using the select rocker key on the UFC. Alternatively, because the HUD is currently soy, you can press the HOTES DMS left or right commands, or delete and page down on the keyboard.
Buenas. ¿Qué tal? Cosas.
To see a list of all loaded profiles, let's enter the profile main page by pressing OSB 1. The profile main page presents a list of all loaded profiles. Press OSB 19 to designate the WTU rocket's profile with the pointing arrow. You can now move this profile up and down the list using OSB 6 and 7. Disable the profile with OSB 9 and activate the profile with OSB 17. However, let's instead press OSB 3 to enter the profile control page to view the settings of this profile. The profile control page displays the weapon settings as set in the current profile. You can alter the settings along the left and right sides of the display. The settings in the profile table in the center of the display can also be changed, but from other pages. OSB 19 and 20 will cycle through the profiles without making them active. Let's try changing some of these settings for this profile. Looking at the right side of the display, you can see the current release quantity is set to single. This means that for each press of the weapon release button, only a single rocket will be fired. Let's change this to ripple single by pressing OSB 6 twice. Press the spacebar key to proceed when set. You can now set the ripple quantity to determine how many rockets will be fired while the weapon release button is held down. For example, to set the quantity to 3, press button 3 on the UFC and then OSB 8 to enter the value into the profile. Press the spacebar key to proceed when set.
No, CCP. What? No. Wait a sec. Aquí se me acaba de equivocar algo. Necessary input error. Ok, y ahora clear. Ok, ahora sí. Ahora sí, ahora pasadora.
Additional options on this page include OSB 10 to set the default HUD mode and OSB 18 to paste current profile settings into a new profile. Press OSB 16 to enter the profile settings subpage to access additional settings underlined in the data table of the display. You can now see additional profile settings. On the left side of the display, these include the escape maneuver, desired time of flight, and minimum altitude. On the right side of the display, you can set the horizontal offset, vertical offset, weapon eject velocity, and bomb rack delay. Press OSB 3 to save the changes to this profile. We are now back on the profile main page. Just as we did for the WTU profile, we could select and edit any of the other profiles. Press OSB 1 to return to the DSMS status page. Profiles can also be accessed in manual mode by selecting stations via OSBs directly on the status page. Multiple stations can be selected if they are loaded with identical weapons, launchers, and profile settings. Press OSB 7 and 19 to select stations 4 and 8 loaded with BRU racks. Note the additional profile information in the center of the display. The profile name now begins with an M/ to indicate manual mode. Profile operations in manual mode are identical to default profiles, but the profile is standalone and cannot be cycled to unless it is saved into the DSMS. Pressing the profile OSB 1 while in manual mode will open the profile control page directly. Let's take a look at the profile settings available for bomb release. Bomb profiles include the additional option of the fuse settings with OSB 7. This can be cycled between nose for nose fusing, tail for tails fusing, and NT for nose and tail fusing. Press OSB 6 twice to change the release setting to ripple single as we did earlier for rockets. Press the spacebar key to proceed when set. With bomb release set to a ripple setting, you can also adjust the ripple quantity and impact separation in feet. Let's change the impact separation to 150 feet. Type in 150 into the HUD scratch pad using the UFC, and then press OSB 9 to enter the value into the DSMS. Press the spacebar key to proceed when set.
Okay.
Now save the changes with OSB 3. Press OSB 1 to return to the DSMS status page. Next, let's take a look at the missile control page accessed by pressing OSB 2 from the status page. The missile control page is used to configure the AGM-TGM-65 and AIM-9 missiles. We'll discuss the Maverick missiles first. OSB 4 enables and disables power to the Maverick seeker head. Whenever the seeker head is activated, it will need 3 minutes to align, so this should be done prior to entering the target area. Once activated, an EO timer is displayed in the bottom right corner of the display. You can try pressing the button now, but note that in training mode, the DSMS will not actually power up the seeker. OSB 5 selects between manual, location, and time modes of applying EO power. In manual mode, the seeker head is only powered by the pilot pressing the EO power OSB. In location mode, the seeker head is powered at a set range and bearing from a specified waypoint. In time mode, the seeker head is powered at a specific clock time. Press OSB 5 to set the location automatic power function. Press the spacebar key to proceed when set.
Okay.
Configuring the location automatic power on function requires a few steps. First, select the waypoint rotary by pressing OSB 9. You should see the up-down rotary arrows on the OSB become highlighted. Now press the function button on the UFC, indicated by the F adjacent to the UFC scratch pad on the HUD, and press the select rocker up to cycle to the next waypoint. You will see the waypoint number change on the missile control page. Press the spacebar key to proceed when set.
No lo he hecho bien. Ahora. Ahora sí.
Now, to enter bearing and range, type in a bearing value in the UFC, for example 065, and press OSB 7. Then type in a range value, for example 20, followed by OSB 8. Press the spacebar key to proceed when set.
Okay. Okay.
EO power will now be applied to the Maverick automatically as you approach 20 nautical miles at bearing 065 from the designated waypoint. The diameter of the activation point is 10 nautical miles or 25% of the set range from the waypoint, whichever is greater. When set to time mode, the time EO power function on OSB 10 is used to enter a clock time value in a similar fashion as we entered the bearing and range information for location mode. The Maverick bore sight adjust function on OSB 6 is used to set the bore sight position of the missile seeker. On the left side of the display, OSB 19 is a rotary function to set the AIM-9 missiles to off, cool, and select modes. When set to select, the HUD mode changes to air-to-air. Press OSB 1 again to return to the DSMS status page. Next, we'll take a look at the Jettison Select page. Press OSB 4. The Jettison Select page is similar to the status page, except you are now selecting stores to jettison. OSB 4 is a rotary function to select between fuse options. OSB 5 is a rotary to select between the following jettison modes. STR, store. When in STR mode, the user can jettison stores from one or more selected stations. Stores are released in pairs mode. Rack, station rack. When in rack mode, the user can select one or multiple stations that have racks assigned to them and jettison them along with any stores attached to them. If more than one station is selected that is assigned a rack, then they are released in paired mode. A rack or pair of racks is jettisoned with each press of the weapon release button. MSL, missile. In this mode, any Maverick assigned to an LAU-88 tier will be launched in an unguided, unarmed mode with each depression of the weapon release button. If both tiers are selected, Mavericks will be launched in pairs. MSL jettison is not available for the LAU-117. If a station is selected that is not loaded with a LAU-88 and Maverick, only the station number will be displayed in reverse video. When you are ready, press OSB 1 to return to the status page. For our last topic of the lesson, let's enter the inventory select page with OSB 5. The primary function of the inventory page is to allow you to assign a particular weapon to a specified weapon station. This allows you to correct an error when the weapon type does not match the one specified in the profile, and it allows you to set additional weapon settings not available in the profile settings page. It also allows you to create virtual payloads in training mode. Outside of a malfunction that produces an error, you should not have a need to access this page in normal operations, because the DTS cartridge will include all the default profiles for the weapons loaded on the jet. However, we'll try setting up one station as an example. Press the spacebar key to proceed when ready. We'll reset the Maverick on Station 3. First, press OSB 18 to select the station. Now press OSB 18 again to select Missile as the weapon class. And now you can select the specific missile model loaded. Notice also you can select between missile types with OSB 4, missile quantity with OSB 5, and launcher configuration with OSB 8. Press OSB 18 once more to select AGM-65D. Let's return to the status page with OSB1. This concludes the training lesson on the Digital Stores Management System.
Ok.
Request refueling. Request rearming. Copy.
Vamos a ver. Está cargando combustible. Lento, pero está cargando combustible. No es como antes, que era automático. Ahora parece que cargar combustible, pues, es más realista.
Refueling complete.
Vale. Refueling complete. Y ahora tendría que llegar a hacer el rearme. Pues si hace rearming tendría que hacerlo, a menos que... A ver. Para save. Weapon off por si acaso.
Rearming complete.
Vamos a forzar la máquina un poco. Forcemos la máquina un poco.
Rearming. Copy. Rearming complete.
Ok. Y ahora... Vale, perfecto. Detalles, detalles, detalles. Y ahora tendríamos que poner local. Y si no recuerdo mal, no. Veamos. Status page. No. DMS. Ok. MK82, MK82, Ter, AGM65D, MI, sí. Sí. Training. Ok. Vamos a ver. Triple quantity. Tenemos 6. No. No, se di por error, claro. Esto sería, por ejemplo, a 45. CSRP, CSIP. Guardamos. Weapon off. Y número 2. Profile. Ripple single, ripple quantity, pues 3. No, 4. 4. Llegamos a 6 y lo guardamos. Weapon off. Status page. Ok, el 2 fuera. Vale, a ver. Quiero un save. Bien, vamos a ver cómo estamos. Apostar. ¿Por qué no? Ah, vale. Claro. A ver, vemos. On. No, depósitos exteriores. No, están los... No, me estoy... Se me está escapando algo que se me está olvidando ahora. Sí. Me está escapando algo. Vale. Esto está bien, pero... No sé por qué no me hace el... Esto está bien. Esto está bien. Esto está bien. Y esto está bien. Ah, pues ahora no sé lo que me falta. Bueno. Ya que estamos en entrenamiento, vamos a seguir con el entrenamiento. Me voy a tener que aprender todo el... A ver. Tenía el A-10 demasiado anquilosado. Y tengo que volvérmelo a aprender. A ver si no lo tengo olvidado. Seguramente sí.
Welcome to the HOTAS Fundamentals Training Flight. I've engaged the autopilot to keep us level and on course. Manage the throttle to maintain airspeed above 200 knots. In this flight, we will overview the primary controls in the cockpit used to work with the various flight and combat systems of the A-10C. If you find it hard to hear my instructions, exit the mission and lower the world and in-cockpit sound sliders to about 50%. You can pause the mission at any point by pressing the pause key on your keyboard. You can also set the mission to active pause mode by pressing left shift plus left win plus pause keys. To exit the mission at any point, press the escape key. You can use the numpad keys to pan the view around and press the numpad asterisk and numpad / keys to zoom the view in and out. Press the spacebar key when you are ready to begin.
Ah, vale. Que pensé que no estaba...
The A-10C utilizes hands-on throttle and stick HOTAS controls to allow the pilot to manipulate primary avionics controls without taking the hands off the stick and throttle. This saves time and eases the pilot's workload, but it also means the stick and throttle feature a lot of buttons that require practice to use effectively. In addition, the A-10C cockpit is designed to minimize the time the pilot spends head down to work the avionics. Many of the displays and avionics controls are presented on the upper part of the cockpit, where the pilot needs to only glance down to find the necessary control or display information. Press the spacebar key to proceed when ready.
Okay.
Let's review the HOTAS controls available on the stick and throttle. Buttons and switches on the control stick include two-stage gun trigger, weapons release button, master mode control button, MMCB, target management switch, TMS, data management switch, DMS, countermeasure switch, CMS, nose wheel steering button, NWS, aircraft trim control hat. On the dual throttle, buttons and switches include mic switch, speed brake switch, boat switch, China hat switch, coolie switch, slew control, autopilot button, pinky switch. While we will use some of these controls as part of this lesson, there will not be enough time to practice with all of them. You will need to reference the aircraft documentation for a complete diagram of the HOTAS, as well as the keyboard shortcuts for all of the commands. Our goal today is to understand the fundamental concept of HOTAS control in the A-10C, and not the many functions of all of the buttons and switches. Press the spacebar key to proceed when ready. The cockpit includes three primary displays: the head-up display HUD on the top of the cockpit frame, and the left and right multifunction color displays MFCDs on the front panel. The MFCDs feature 20 option select buttons, OSB, around each display, starting with OSB 1 in the upper left corner and moving around the display clockwise. The function of each OSB is identified on the screen and depends on the page being displayed. OSBs 11 through 15 at the bottom of each MFCD set the primary page of the display. Press the spacebar key to proceed when ready. Because the avionics package of the A-10C is quite complex and features a number of different systems, it's impossible to include an individual HOTAS button on the stick and throttle to cover all the necessary controls. This problem is overcome by designating a Sensor of Interest, SOI, which allows the pilot to set which sensor he wishes to command with the HOTAS. The SOI can be set between the HUD and either MFCD page by the pilot as necessary at any point using the coolie switch on the throttle. All HOTAS commands in the cockpit are provided a keyboard alternate. In the case of the coolie switch, these will be H for coolie left, K for coolie right, U for coolie up, and J for coolie down. Before trying to use these commands, it's also important to remember that some HOTAS commands, including the coolie switch, have a different function depending on whether they are pressed and released quickly, short press, or held down for a couple of seconds, long press. Press the spacebar key to proceed when ready. The right MFCD is currently displaying the targeting pod TGP page. The TGP is set to standby mode at mission start. To begin exploring HOTAS controls, let's first set the TGP to air-to-ground mode AG by pressing OSB2 on the right MFCD. You now have three primary sensors displaying information in the cockpit: the HUD, the Tactical Awareness Display TAD page on the left MFCD, and the TGP page on the right MFCD. Notice that both MFCD pages include a "not soy" message overlaid on the screen. This means neither display is set as soy. The default setting at mission start is for the HUD to be soy. Press the spacebar key to proceed when ready.
Okay.
When the HUD is soy, it is indicated by an asterisk Q on the left side of the HUD. We'll now try some HOTAS commands with different sensors set as soy. First, while keeping the HUD set as soy, try moving the slew control on the throttle. Keyboard commands for slew control are semicolon for slew up, period for slew down, comma for slew left, and / for slew right. As you move the slew control around, you will see the target designator Q TDC move on the HUD. Nothing will change on the MFCD pages. Move the TDC around the HUD, and then press the spacebar key to proceed when ready.
Ok. El cursor de designación de blanco. Que aquí funciona bien, pero no entiendo por qué este cursor no funciona como debería en otros aviones.
Now let's set the TAD page on the left MFCD as our soy. Press and hold the coolie switch left command or the H key on the keyboard to perform a long press of the button.
Coolie? Ah, no.
Good. The "not soy" message has been removed from the left MFCD, and the display is now inscribed by a green square to indicate that it is soy. At the same time, the soy asterisk has been removed from the HUD. Try again to move the slew control around, and you'll see that you are now controlling the TAD cursor on the left MFCD instead of the HUD TDC. Move the TAD cursor around and press the spacebar key to proceed when ready.
Ok. TDC, TDC. Oh, sensores de interés. Cursor TDC y pulsar. Ok. Ahora muevo el cursor del TDC izquierdo, que es el cursor de designación. Y entonces si lo mueve aquí, muevo la cámara. Muevo la cámara. Ok. Muevo la cámara.
Now let's set the TGP on the right MFCD as our soy. To do this, press and hold the coolie switch right command or the K key on the keyboard to perform a long press of the button.
Ok.
Once again, move the slew control around. This time, you will be controlling the TGP line of sight. You may notice the TGP diamond moving on the HUD in the TAD page, but this is only a helpful indication of where the TGP line of sight lies on the terrain. The slew control is currently commanding the TGP and not the TAD or the HUD. Move the TGP line of sight around, press the spacebar key to proceed when ready.
Ok. Ok.
As we said earlier, some HOTAS commands have a different function depending on whether a short or long press is performed. In the case of the coolie switch, long left and right commands set the MFCD pages as SOI as we've seen, but short left and right commands can be used to cycle the MFCD pages. Try pressing the coolie switch right short command or K key on the keyboard a few times to cycle the right MFCD pages until you return to the TGP page.
Ok.
Now try cycling the left MFCD pages by pressing the coolie switch left short command or the H key on the keyboard repeatedly until you return to the TAD page. The coolie switch down short command on the keyboard will swap the left and right MFCD pages. Press the coolie switch down short command or the J key on the keyboard once to swap pages, then once more to return them to their current state. The coolie switch down long command will perform a DSMS quick look function, allowing you to see the digital store's management system page to check the status of your weapon stations for as long as the switch is held down. Try performing a DSMS quick look by holding down the coolie switch down command or the J key on the keyboard for a few seconds. Finally, the coolie switch up short command is used to set the HUD as SOI. There is no function for the coolie switch up long command. Set the HUD as SOI by pressing the coolie switch up short command or the U key on the keyboard. Whereas the slew control maintains a conceptually consistent function regardless of what sensor is set as SOI, some HOTAS commands perform different functions based on the particular SOI. For example, the data management switch DMS on the control stick will have a variety of functions depending on the SOI. When the HUD is SOI, DMS up-down short commands will cycle through the waypoints currently loaded by the navigation system. DMS left-right short commands will cycle through the loaded weapon profiles. Try pressing the DMS up-down short commands or the home and end keys on the keyboard to cycle through your waypoints. Then try pressing the DMS left-right short commands or the delete and page down keys on the keyboard to cycle through your weapon profiles. You will see the data on the HUD change as you cycle waypoints and weapon profiles. Press the spacebar key to proceed after becoming familiar with the HUD SOI DMS short command functions.
A ver. No. DMS. No. Este es el zoom. Y este es el aquel. Entonces el DMS es... DMS arriba abajo con pulsación corta. A ver. Gestión de datos, DMS, la palanca de control. Palanca de control, la palanca de control es esta. Espera. Es el sensor de interés arriba. Vale, entonces es... No. Vale. Seleccionando el DMS arriba. Porque el DMS abajo es esto. Vale, el DMS arriba. Con esta cambiamos los puntos de paso. Y con esta cambiamos las armas. Vale, sí. Maverick, LU solo, BLU 50, Weapon off. Ok. Aquí igual. Ok.
Let's now see what the DMIS short commands do when the TAD is soy. First, change the soy from the HUD to the TAD by pressing the coolie switch left long command or holding down the H key on the keyboard.
Alteade.
When the TAD is soy, the DMIS up-down short commands control the TAD map scale. The DMIS right short command switches between centered and depressed map modes. The DMIS left short command has no function. Press the DMIS up, down, right short commands or the home, in, and page down keys on the keyboard to try the DMIS short functions with the TAD set as soy. Press the spacebar key to proceed after becoming familiar with the TAD, soy, DMIS short command functions.
Ok. Y hacemos un zoom, y lo ponemos aquí. Mapas mouse centrales de la procesión TMS izquierda no tiene función. Del TMS arriba y abajo, vale. Y aquí cambiamos centrado. Ok. Entonces...
Now let's set the TGP as soy and see what the DMIS does. Press the coolie switch right long command or hold down the K key on the keyboard to set the TGP as soy. When the TGP is soy, the DMIS up-down short commands control the TGP zoom factor. The DMIS right short command switches target designation modes between laser, IR pointer, and both. The DMIS left short command engages the TGP autofocus function. If the TGP view is obstructed by the aircraft fuselage, you can slew the line of sight upward until it's once again ahead of the aircraft. Press the DMIS up, down, left, right short commands or the home, in, delete, and page down keys on the keyboard to try the DMIS short functions with the TGP set as soy. Press the spacebar key to proceed after becoming familiar with the TGP soy DMIS short command functions.
Esto es como el zoom. Y esto es... Vale, atrás... Claro, pero el problema del sensor de interés es que no sé hacia dónde apunta. A ver, ¿dónde estás apuntando? Ah, claro. Claro. Ven para acá. Claro. El problema es eso de que ahora está apuntando hacia una posición y no me permite. Por lo menos sabemos qué función tiene. Ya después me voy a liar como una persiana, nunca mejor dicho.
Let's return the HUD as soy. Press the coolie switch up short command or the U key on the keyboard. The final concept we'll discuss today is the Sensor Point of Interest, or SPI. The SPI is the focal point of your combat sensors and is generally the point marking the location of the target, usually set on the ground. There can only be one SPI at a time. For example, before dropping a satellite-guided JDAM bomb, you need to set the target's position as a SPI. The target's coordinates are then downloaded by the bomb's guidance system to allow it to find the target after release. Press the spacebar key to proceed when ready.
Vamos a ver.
The SPI can only be set by a soy. When the HUD is soy, the TDC sets the SPI. When the TGP or Maverick missile is soy, the crosshairs set the SPI. When the TAD is soy, the SPI can be set by the TAD cursor over any TAD icon, including data-linked icons sent from other friendly units. Regardless of what sensor is set as soy, the SPI is always set by the Target Management Switch TMS up long command or holding down the left control and up arrow keys on the keyboard. Press the spacebar key to proceed when ready. We'll now try setting a SPI with the HUD set as soy by placing the TDC over a point on the ground. Slew the TDC into the highlighted box on the HUD and press the TMS up long command or hold down the left control plus up arrow keys on the keyboard to designate this point as the SPI.
TMS arriba. El DCS dentro de la caja realizada y con posición larga del botón TMS arriba.
The SPI is now set by the HUD TDC as indicated in the bottom left corner of the HUD. Note, there is a range limit when setting the SPI using the TDC, so it may not work when setting at a range further ahead of the aircraft. Once a SPI is set by any sensor, the HOTAS China Hat Forward Long command can be used to automatically slew all of your combat systems to the SPI location. Try pressing the China Hat Forward Long command or holding down the V key on the keyboard to slave all sensors to the SPI. With your sensors now focused on the target area, you could work with the TGP as soy to get a better look at the target, obtain a positive ID, and refine the SPI location by designating the desired target as the SPI using the TGP crosshairs. Let's now press the TMS down long command or hold down the left control plus down arrow keys to cancel the current SPI.
Okay.
When not set elsewhere by the pilot, the SPI defaults to the current steer point location, which is the waypoint selected for navigation. This concludes the HOTAS fundamentals lesson. Practice using the various HOTAS commands until you feel comfortable performing them without thinking. It will be an invaluable skill on the battlefield.
Warning, autopilot.
Vale, según esto... Según esto, yo podría fijar el sensor de interés ahí, cambiar rápido, por ejemplo, a Maverick. Cambiar a la derecha. Y buscar blanco ahí. Vale. Vamos. La siguiente. Claro, todo viene aquí.
Welcome to the navigation training flight. I've engaged the autopilot to keep the aircraft level and on course, so please do not touch any input controls outside of the training commands you will receive. In this flight, we'll overview the navigation systems of the A-10C and practice navigation procedures.
Okay.
If you find it hard to hear my instructions over the background noise, exit the mission and turn down the world and in-cockpit sound sliders to about 50% in the options menu. Increase throttle to about 90% core RPM to keep the aircraft above 250 knots indicated. The A-10C is equipped with a complex navigation suite consisting of a number of different systems. The oldest of these, originally installed on the A-10A, is the Heading Attitude Reference System, or HARS. HARS is a gyro platform navigation system and accumulates significant errors as the aircraft is maneuvered in flight. It can be reset accurately only in level flight and no acceleration. Because of these limitations, HARS is considered a backup system used in case of primary navigation system failure. The primary navigation system of the A-10C is the embedded GPS, INS, or EGI, often pronounced IGI. The IGI integrates a traditional inertial navigation system, INS, and a global positioning system, GPS. Each of these two IGI components can function independently of the other. However, they are designed to work together to provide accurate worldwide position and flight navigation data. Finally, the A-10C is equipped to home on traditional radio navigation systems such as TACAN, Tactical Air Navigation, ILS, Instrument Landing System, and ADF, Automatic Direction Finder. The primary control panels used to configure the navigation systems include the Navigation Mode Select panel, NIMSIP, on the front dash, and the Control Display Unit, CDU, on the right console. In this mission, we'll also work with the TACAN panel on the right console. In order to minimize the time spent head down configuring the instruments instead of looking up and out of the cockpit, the A-10C features the upfront controller, UFC, below the HUD, and the CDU repeater page on the MFCD. These allow you to manipulate CDU data without having to touch the seat. Navigation information is displayed to the pilot on the HUD, the TAD and CDU pages of the MFCD, the CDU display, and the analog ADI and HSI instruments on the front dash.
Okay.
Let's begin taking a more detailed look at each component of the navigation suite. The NIMSIP, located in front of the control stick toward the bottom of the front dash, is used to select the navigation system used to feed data to the instruments and what type of navigation points to home on. Specifically, the top row of select buttons selects between HARS, IGI, and TISL, Target Identification Set Laser. You will generally use the IGI as your primary navigation system, and you can see that it is selected by default. Like HARS, TISL is an A-10A legacy system that has been replaced on the A-10C by the AN/AAQ-28 Lighting 2 targeting pod. Along the bottom row of the NIMSIP are buttons to set the type of navigation points to home on. These include STR-PT, steer point, ANCHR, anchor point, TCN, TACAN beacon, and ILS, instrument landing system. During flight operations, you will usually navigate toward a steer point, so STR-PT will be the preferred selection. TACAN and ILS are used for airbase approaches and landing, and anchor point is usually the mission bullseye. In review, the selections of source navigation system on the top row and the type of navigation points on the bottom row determine which system provides steering information presented on the HUD, ADI, and HSI, and toward what type of navigation point. The PTR switch is used to stow away the pitch and roll steering bars, as well as the course warning flag on the ADI. The two homing lights to the right of the select buttons indicate VHF or UHF radio homing when either radio is used in ADF mode. The next item we will consider is the TAD page, currently displayed on the left MFCD. The TAD includes symbology for your aircraft, currently in the center of the display, a flight plan course line, currently running along the center from top to bottom, and various other indications, which we will discuss separately. To work with the TAD page, we need to set it as our sensor of interest, SOI. To do so, press and hold the HOTAS Coolie Hat left command or the H key on the keyboard. Alternatively, you can press the TAD OSB 15. When set as SOI, the display will become inscribed in green. Okay, now that we have control of the TAD, let's first scale the map out so we can see our entire flight plan for better orientation. To increase the TAD scale, press the HOTAS DMIS down command or the N key on the keyboard until the flight plan is visible, 3 presses in this case. You can now see our flight plan consists of 6 waypoints, indicated by square symbols connected by course lines. The currently selected waypoint, called a steer point, is colored yellow instead of green. Also note the TAD range in the upper right corner of the display, currently 40, and the map scale. The range value indicates the range to the outer ring of the display. It's important to understand the concept of waypoints. Waypoint is the generic term for all navigation points of interest, which can include the current steer point, all flight plan waypoints, mark points, and anchor points. Generally, you will be following a flight plan that consists of a number of flight plan waypoints, one of which will be usually selected as your current steer point. Using the CDU, you can edit, create, and delete waypoints either as part of a flight plan or as independent waypoints. Let's try performing the most basic navigation function of cycling through the flight plan waypoints to select the current steer point. This can be done either by pressing the steer rocker key on the UFC or the steer switch on the CDU. I've highlighted both and you can try pressing both. Watch the TAD display in the data block in the bottom right corner of the HUD as you cycle through the flight plan waypoints. Press the spacebar key to proceed once you cycle through the waypoints.
Ok. O la de... Ah, vale.
You can also cycle waypoints by using HOTAS controls. To do this, first make the HUD soy by pressing the HOTAS coolie hat up once or the U key on the keyboard. An asterisk will appear on the left side of the HUD when it is set as soy. With the HUD set as soy, you can cycle through the waypoints by pressing the HOTAS DMIS up or down commands repeatedly. Set waypoint 3 Copignati as your steer point. As you can see indicated on the HUD steer point data block, the HUD waypoint has a custom ID Copignati. If you cycle to the following waypoint, it also has a custom ID POTI. Mission waypoints are assigned a default ID of MSN XXX, where XXX is a numerical value starting with 001. Mark points are also assigned an alphabetical ID starting with A. Custom waypoint IDs can be created in the mission planner prior to the mission or in flight by using the CDU waypoint edit functions. Waypoint IDs can also be used to search for waypoints in the CDU database. Make sure you have waypoint 3 Copignati set as the steer point, and we'll turn north toward it to continue our flight. I'm going to disengage the autopilot so you can make the turn. Autopilot is off. You have control. Autopilot is on. Let's review steer point indication presented to the pilot. Starting with the HUD, the destination index indicates the position of the current steer point as a small square. When not set elsewhere by the pilot, the current steer point is also the center point of interest, SPI. On the TAD page, the SPI is displayed as a wedding cake symbol currently corresponding with waypoint 3.
Ok.
In the bottom right corner of the HUD display is the navigation data block, which indicates information regarding the steer point. Starting with the top line, the following is displayed: radar altitude valid through 5,000 feet AGL, steer point number and ID, steer point distance to go and target elevation, steer point time to go TTG, and time on target TOT delta, also current time. When a steer point has a designated time on target DTOT, you can use the TTG and TOT numbers to make sure you arrive on time. In that case, you will also see a desired airspeed indication added under the airspeed indicator on the left side of the HUD. In the bottom center of the HUD is the heading tape, which indicates the current heading and desired heading bug to direct the pilot to the desired heading of the selected waypoint. When the steer point is outside the HUD field of view, the destination index will be latched to the side of the HUD in the direction of the steer point. To see this indication, set waypoint 4 POTI as your steer point. The destination index is now latched to the left side of the HUD and includes two pieces of additional information. the degrees of turn remaining on top of the index, and the steer point range under the index. If you change the speed from the steer point to a different location, the destination index on the HUD will change to a tadpole to avoid confusion with the target designation queue TDC symbol. To see this indication, let's designate a speed point on the ground. Press and hold the HOTAS slew control down or the period key on the keyboard to slew the TDC down toward the bottom of the HUD. Then press and hold the HOTAS TMIS up command or left control plus up arrow keys on the keyboard to designate a speed just ahead of the aircraft.
TMS arriba. Notas de TMS arriba. No. TMS arriba.
The HUD is now indicating both the tadpole destination index and the speed location as a TDC with a line leading to the total velocity vector. The tadpole is latched to the side of the HUD in the direction of the steer point, and the tadpole tail is indicating bearing to the steer point relative to your current position.
Vale.
Let's now discuss the CDU. First, set the right MFCD as a CDU repeater. To do so, press the HOTAS coolie hat right command or press the K key on the keyboard twice to cycle the CDU page, or press the CDU OSB 13 on the right MFCD. As you can see, the right MFCD is duplicating the display of the CDU. We can now work with the CDU directly or use the UFC and MFCD commands to view and edit CDU data. The CDU is currently displaying the waypoint page as indicated by the page title in the top left corner of the display. The top line also indicates the name of the currently active flight plan, F1 in this case, and the waypoint number of the steer point. The rest of the CDU display on this page is used to present data on the waypoint indicated on the third line, which is not necessarily the same waypoint as our current steer point. This allows you to view and edit waypoints without deselecting the active steer point information on the HUD and front dash instrumentation. For example, to view or edit the data for our current steer point, which is waypoint 4 Poti, we can select this waypoint on the CDU by searching either for the waypoint number or the ID. Let's try searching for the number first. To do so, press the 4 key on the UFC. You will see the number appear on the UFC scratch pad at the bottom of the HUD and the CDU page of the MFCD. Then press OSB 19 to enter the number into search. You should now see detailed information about waypoint 4 Pote on the CDU, including the waypoint elevation, desired time on target, and coordinates. Note, as indicated on the bottom right corner of the CDU page, this is page 1 of 2 of the display. To see the additional information on page 2, press the function key on the UFC followed by the data down rocker key. Page 2 displays additional waypoint information and options, including command steering indication scales, steering origin destination setting, desired time to go, desired time on target, and vertical navigation setting. Once you've looked over page 2 of the waypoint page, return to page 1 by pressing the UFC function key followed by the data up rocker key. Now let's try the alternate method and search for a waypoint by ID. Let's also try using the CDU instead of the UFC to enter the data. Using the keyboard buttons on the CDU, type in KOP as the initial characters of the ID for waypoint 3, Copignati, and then press the line select key R3 on the CDU to enter it into search. While we are working with the CDU, it's a good time to cover the important functionality of the steer point and page select dials on the Auxiliary Avionics panel, AAP. The steer point dial selects between waypoint databases. When set to flight plan, the CDU will cycle through flight plan waypoints only. When set to mark, the CDU will cycle through mark points only. When set to mission, the CDU will cycle through all non-marked points in the database, including the flight plan waypoints. Note that the flight plan will appear on the TAD page only when the dial is set to flight plan. The page dial selects between main pages of the display. When set to waypoint, the waypoint main page will be displayed, indicating information on the selected waypoint. When set to steer, the steer point main page will be displayed, indicating information on the selected steer point. When set to position, the position main page will be displayed, indicating information on the aircraft's current position. The other page is used to edit data in the CDU. When not set to other, all of the other pages are read-only and no data can be entered into the CDU.
Okay.
Set waypoint 4 Poti as your steer point. I will disengage the autopilot so you can turn west toward waypoint 4. Autopilot is off. You have control. Autopilot is on. To navigate a flight plan accurately, you need to fly along the desired course line for each waypoint. To do so, set the HSI course arrow to the desired course for the waypoint and follow the course deviation indicator CDI on the HSI. For example, our flight plan calls for a course of 270 for waypoint 4. To obtain correct CDI indication, set the HSI course to 270 by rotating the HSI course set knob. Press the spacebar key to proceed when the HSI course is set to 270.
Okay.
The HSI course deviation indicator, CDI, and the ADI steering bar will now direct you toward the desired course line. In order to approach the waypoint on the desired course, you would maneuver the jet to follow the ADI steering bar toward the CDI until the CDI is aligned with the course arrow pointing toward the steer point and the steering bar is centered on the ADI. Press the spacebar key to proceed to the next lesson topic. Let's now try homing on a TACAN station. To do this, first select TCN navigation mode on the NIMSIP. Now we need to set the desired TACAN channel. For example, to home in on the Senaki TACAN station, we'll set it to 31X. First, roll the mouse wheel up over the left channel selector knob to set the second channel digit to 3. Roll the mouse wheel up over the right channel selector knob to set the third channel digit to 1. Now power up the TACCAM receiver by setting the mode dial to TR, transmit receive. Set. The bearing pointer 1 needle on the HSI is now indicating bearing to the selected TACCAM station, and the range indicator on the HSI is indicating the range. You can also hear the TACCAM station's ID being transmitted in Morse code. You can turn down the TACCAM ID volume using the volume knob on the TACCAM control panel. If a TACCAM approach is desired on a particular heading, turn the HSI set course knob to the desired course. The HSI, CDI, and ADI steering bar will then indicate steering commands for the set course toward the TACCAM station. Press the spacebar key to proceed when set.
Pero todavía no está justo. Pero no está justo. Pero no estamos en... me parece que le di demasiado pronto. Le di demasiado pronto. Ah, no, o será esta, claro, esta es la 1, ¿no? Ahora. Ahora sí.
We'll end this lesson here. You can continue to practice using the navigation systems to navigate the flight plan waypoints.
Instituto Heatblur, vale. Podría girar hacia el sur. Vamos a ver si es verdad. Sí.
Warning, autopilot. Warning, autopilot.
Ah, vale. O sea que ahora tengo... El tackle lo tengo debajo. Con lo cual ahora podría ser esto. Hacia el este. Claro. Hay otra cosa que me falta, que no tengo el control de... No tengo el control... del trimado. Jolín, estoy a 10.000 pies.
Watch your speed. Stay above 250 knots indicated.
A ver, porque aquí hay los controles no están bien puestos. Los controles no están bien puestos. A ver, comandos de ejes. Gas derecha y gas izquierda, claro. Esto no es. Control de deslizamiento horizontal. Otra vez. Deslizamiento horizontal. No, espera. No, me está cogiendo algo que no debería cogerme. Deslizamiento horizontal. Vale. Ah, vale, es esto. Pero... qué raro que se mueva tan poquito. Ah, vale, que parece que... Vale. ¿Será que la misión está hecha para esto? Ok. Vamos a NLQ. Y esta va a ser la última misión. Misión del día. Okay.
Welcome to the training lesson on the use of the AN/AAQ-28 Lighting 2 targeting pod. I've engaged the autopilot to maintain altitude and heading. Pay attention to the airspeed and manage the throttle to stay above 200 knots throughout this mission.
Ok. Buenas, Sniper. Sí, hoy tenemos...
The targeting
Bueno.
pod provides you with the ability to conduct visual target search and designation for weapons delivery at long ranges in day and nighttime conditions. The Lighting 2 features 3 live video modes, charge couple device or CCD, and a white hot or black hot forward-looking infrared flare. The pod can also function in laser spot search and laser spot track modes to track a laser designator from another source on the ground or in the air. Let's examine the air-to-ground page accessed by OSB2.
Ok.
The TGP is now in air-to-ground mode and displaying video. To make the TGP or SOI, press and hold the HOTAS Coolie Hat right command or the K key on the keyboard. Let's review the main features of the TGP display. The center of the display is dominated by the crosshairs and brackets. The brackets indicate the volume of visible area in narrow field of view mode. Immediately to the right of the crosshairs is the yardstick, which indicates the ground distance covered by the right half of the crosshair. The bottom right corner indicates the slant range to the center of the crosshairs. The upper right corner indicates the north arrow, which is stabilized to the ground plane and indicates bearing due north. Press the spacebar key to proceed. Going around the edges of the display, the top left corner indicates the current field of view and zoom level. OSB 1 through 4 select TGP pages. The top right corner indicates the current video mode. OSB 5 toggles LSS mode. OSB 6 selects between laser and IR pointer and both designation modes. The bottom of the display indicates current location coordinates. Finally, the bottom left corner indicates the attitude reference symbol and clock. Press OSB 1 to enter the control page and access additional options.
BC1. Era esta, ¿no? Sí. A ver. Sí. Era esta.
Starting with the right side of the display, OSB 7 toggles between latitude, longitude, and MGRS coordinate systems for current location indication. OSB 8 toggles latch on and off modes. In latch off mode, when the laser is fired manually by pressing the HOTAS pinky button, it will only fire as long as the button is pressed down. In latch on mode, the laser will be switched on and off with each press of the button. Note that default profiles for guided munitions will be set for automatic laser operation. OSB 9 toggles between metric, US, and off settings for the yardstick. OSB 17 and 18 are used to enter the laser codes for the laser designator and LSS mode using the UFC to enter the code. Finally, OSB 20 is used to enter an advisory alert altitude. Press OSB 1 to return to the air-to-ground main page. Okay, now for the fun part. Try to slew the pod around. Move the line of sight down into either side using the HOTAS slew control switch or the semicolon, comma, period, and / keys on the keyboard. Watch the HUD and TAD displays to see the TGP LOS diamond move to indicate its position over the terrain. You may need to zoom the TAD display out to see the TGP diamond. Also, watch the situation awareness cue on the TGP display, the small square dot. This cue indicates the TGP LOS to either side and down relative to the nose of the aircraft. Notice that when you stop slewing, the TGP enters area track mode. In this mode, the pod is tracking a general area picture and not any individual object. Try switching this to point tracking mode by pressing the HOTAS TMIS up short command or left control plus up arrow keys on the keyboard.
Ah, mierda. TMS corto arriba. TMS arriba corto. No. Ah, vale, punto.
In point tracking mode, the pod is tracking a specific object, including a moving one. If tracking is lost due to masking or other line of sight obstructions, area and point tracking modes are discontinued and replaced by INR inertial A or INR P modes respectively. Press the spacebar key to proceed.
Vale, esto es área. Por ejemplo, si yo me voy aquí a... hacemos zoom. Por ejemplo, esa casa. Y ahora le digo, pues ahí está. Uy, vale. Y ahora no te puedo mover así. Vale, sí.
One of the main advantages offered by the A-10C upgrade is the integration of avionics components that allow the pilot to quickly locate, identify, and prosecute targets from long range with precision munitions. I've set waypoint 4 in close proximity to some targets, so we can try some additional functions of the TGP. Set your steer point for waypoint 4 using the UFC steer rocker key. Now press Hold Task China Hat Aft Long or C on the keyboard to automatically slew the TGP to the steer point. You should see a large X-type target range.
Ok.
Warning, autopilot.
Forma de X, vale.
Warning, autopilot.
Ok.
Warning, autopilot.
Press the Hold Task China Hat Forward short command or the V key on the keyboard to set the TGP to narrow field of view. You can also zoom the video picture. Press and hold the Hold Task DMS Up command or Home key on the keyboard to zoom in toward the target. Now press the Hold Task Boat Switch Forward command or right Alt plus right arrow keys on the keyboard to select Flare Be Hot video mode. You can also try the Hold Task Boat Switch Aft command or right Alt
Warning,
plus left arrow
autopilot.
keys on the keyboard to select White Hot mode.
What the foot?
Now choose a target and initiate either area or point track. An M indication on the TGP display below the crosshairs indicates a masking obstruction. Tracking may not be possible in this case. If this occurs, you may need to turn the nose more on target.
El objetivo selecciona el seguimiento área o punto. Sí, pero es que el seguimiento área o punto no se ve un cuerno. Ah, jaja. Vale.
You can now press the Hold Task TMS Up Long command or left control plus up arrow keys on the keyboard to make this point your new speed. This can be a very useful function if you are carrying Mavericks, as you could then initiate a slave all to speed command and the Mavericks would be automatically slewed to this point.
¡Ay! Pero se me fue. Claro, yo decía yo. Ahí. Ahí. Vale. TMS arriba. Teclado para hacer que el punto sea nuestro de pi. TMS arriba.
You can also create a mark point at this location to store in the CDU database. Press the HOTAS TMS right short command or left control plus right arrow key command on the keyboard to create mark point A. This concludes the training flight on the AN/AAQ-28 Lighting 2 targeting pod. You can continue to practice using the targeting pod over the target range.
Claro, no puedo ajustarlo más. Pero, claro, segundo. No tengo armas. Con lo cual, aquí no podría... No tengo. No tengo armas aquí. Vamos a ver entonces. Go 8. Vamos a repartir algo de torta. Claro, pero esto es el... cohete. Vale.
Welcome to the training flight on the employment of unguided rockets and the GAU-8A gun against stationary and mobile ground targets. In this lesson, we'll review the HUD indications for gun and rocket employment, and then you'll have some range time to try a few strafing runs. Before taking off, let's configure some settings for the sorting.
Calle. Ajustar controles. Ajustar controles. Comando CG. Nueva cabeceo. Vale, tú fuera. Tú fuera. No, palanca de gases no. Timón de dirección. Vale. Timón de dirección. Añadir. Vale. Freno, rueda derecha. Freno, rueda izquierda.
First, set the IFC to test mode by right-clicking once so we can set up some gun options.
¿Por qué se me mueve esto si yo tengo centrado el... Porque habré reventado las ruedas. Y primero de todo, hay que... No vamos a cagarla. Porque tengo el steering engage. Ahí. Quieto, parado. Vale, y ahora me acabo de dar cuenta que aquí falta. Pero ¿por qué tengo que configurar? Vale, tenemos el DCS puesto. A ver.
Use the select rocker key to scroll down to the weapons page and press the enter key to select it.
Cell para adicionar a la anillo de armamento.
Now press the enter key once again to enter the 30mm page. Press the data rocker key to set the ammo type to combat mix, because we are carrying live ammo today. Then scroll down to the min out setting and use the data rocker key again, minimum altitude to 500 feet. When finished, scroll down to store and press enter to exit this menu. Exit the previous menu using the exit line.
$500.
You can now set the IFC switch back to on by left-clicking once. Let's also take a look at the DSMS to review our payload. Press OSB 14 on the left MFCD.
Vale,
We are carrying a total of 4 LAU-68 rocket pods. These are loaded on stations 2 and 3 and 9 and 10. Let's adjust some release parameters. Press OSB 1 to enter the profile main page. Press OSB 19 to select the profile, and then press OSB 3 to enter the profile control page. Press the OSB 6 rotary to set the release type to ripple pairs. Set the ripple quantity to 3 by using the 3 key on the UFC, followed by the ripple quantity rotary on OSB 8. Press OSB 3 to save the profile changes.
Tienen 3 en 3 mediante la tecla del UFC. Vale, ajustar 3. aquí. No ves, yo puedo guardar los cambios, vale. Guardar los cambios.
Let's now bring up the TAD page for takeoff.
Ok.
We are now ready to proceed with the flight. Take off runway heading for waypoint 2. Climb to 6,000 feet.
Bueno, vamos a ver si no nos hostiamos. Porque en esta cuestión... No, maniobra. A ver...
Maintain 180 knots in the climb. Let's set the master arm and gun pack switches on the AHCP to arm. Be ready for a slight stick forward input from the flight control system as precision attitude control is engaged. PAC will help keep the aircraft stable when the first stage of the trigger is depressed. This will help minimize pitch and yaw moments during cannon fire and achieve a tighter shot grouping around the gun pipper. Level off at 6,000 feet and maintain max engine power for waypoint 2. Autopilot is on. Let's review the HUD indication relevant to gun employment. If not currently set, make sure the HUD is in guns mode by pressing the HOTAS master mode button or M key on the keyboard. The gun bore line cross is displayed above the center of the HUD. This cross represents the longitudinal axis of the gun. You may have to turn slightly off course to see the GBL cross. The gun ammo type and amount remaining are displayed in the data block of the left corner of the HUD. This currently indicates CM1150 for 1,150 rounds of combat mix. The A-10C features 4 air-to-ground gun sight reticle options. The default and most informative reticle is the CCIP gun reticle, currently displayed on the HUD. Press the numpad asterisk key to zoom in on the HUD for a closer view of the gun sight.
Sí, yo que había algo que no funcionaba.
The main features of the CCIP gun reticle are the pipper dot in the center of the reticle and the unwinding range bar around the circumference. The 4 hash marks at the 12, 3, 6, and 9 o'clock positions reference the slant range to the target in thousands of feet. When in range, the range bar unwinds counterclockwise. For example, if the range bar is at the bottom of the reticle, the slant range in feet is 6,000. The CCIP gun reticle also features a numerical indication of the slant range to target in nautical miles below the reticle. Finally, two moving target index marks inside the reticle indicate the aiming lead required for a moving target traveling at 20 knots in a perpendicular direction to the pipper line of sight. These are currently latched to the outside limit of the reticle at 3 and 9 o'clock positions due to the high slant range. Set your steer point for waypoint 3 and let's head back inland. I'm going to disengage the autopilot so you can make the turn. Autopilot is off. You have control. Autopilot is on. Make sure the HUD is set as SOA using the HOTAS Coolie Hat Up command or U on the keyboard. Press the HOTAS DMS Right command or page down on the keyboard to switch the gun sight to the CCIP gun cross. The CCIP gun cross is a more compact version of the CCIP gun reticle. It provides the same aim accuracy but is less obtrusive on the HUD and does not include the moving target index marks. Press the HOTAS DMS Right command or page down on the keyboard again to select the 4A12 gun reticle. The 4A12 gun reticle is a degraded version of the CCIP gun reticle. It provides 3 impact point pippers inside the reticle for the preset ranges of 4,000, 8,000, and 12,000 feet. Normally, you would only use this gun sight if accurate target elevation data was not available for a CCIP solution. Press the HOTAS DMS Right command or page down on the keyboard to select the 4,000 foot gun cross sight. The 4,000 foot gun cross preset is a gun solution for a range of 4,000 feet. Once again, this would normally be used only in cases of inaccurate target elevation data preventing a CCIP solution. All gun sights will indicate a minimum range Q as a triangular index to the right of the reticle when you are within 5 seconds of the minimum altitude set in the IFC 30mm menu. If you recall, we set this to 500 feet. The MRC will appear on level with the top of the reticle when you are within 5 seconds of the minimum altitude and move down to be on level with the bottom of the reticle when you are 5 seconds below the minimum altitude. Press the HOTAS DMS Right command or page down on the keyboard again to return to the CCIP gun reticle. Let's bring up CCIP mode to review HUD indication used for unguided rockets. Press the HOTAS Master Mode button once or the M key on the keyboard. Press the HOTAS DMS Right command or page down on the keyboard to select rockets as the active profile. The rocket CCIP reticle is very similar to the CCIP gun reticle, except it will not utilize the moving target index marks. An RKT indication is added to the bottom of the reticle to identify this as a rocket sight. When employing rockets, the HUD continues to display a gun solution using a CCIP gun cross sight. This allows you to quickly follow a rocket attack with a gun strafe in the same paths. Additional indication on the HUD when using rockets includes the time of fall numeric at the top of the data block in the bottom left corner of the HUD. This currently reads 20 for 20 seconds. Set your steer point for waypoint 4 and let's turn toward the range. I'm going to disengage the autopilot so you can make the turn. Autopilot is off. You have control. Waypoint 4 is set up over the target range. A number of targets are positioned for rocket and gun fire. Your targets will be marked with smoke markers for each pass. As we approach the range, bring up the DSMS page on the left MFCD by pressing OSB 14. Your first target will be a group of stationary trucks set up for a rocket pass on the southwest corner of the range array. The target is now marked with red smoke and you are cleared hot.
No,
Press OSB 8 and 18 to deselect the stations from the active profile, in case you need a second try. As you approach to within 4 nautical miles, reduce power and begin to dive toward the target. The range bar will begin to unwind as you fly within weapons range. Keep the pipper on the target and open fire when within 2 nautical miles. Press and hold the trigger to fire the entire ripple quantity. Do not target fixate. As soon as the attack is complete, pull up and away from the target toward the water and climb to regain altitude. Good hits on those targets. Come off the target to the west toward the water and climb to 3,000 feet. We'll do a gun pass next.
A-10C y subir a 3000.
Switch to Guns mode by pressing the HOTAS Master Mode button or the M key on the keyboard. Target 2 will be a group of stationary APCs on the northeast corner of the range array. The target is now marked with red smoke. Roll in on the target and strike down upon it with great vengeance and furious anger.
Vale, perfecto.
Good hits on those targets. Climb to 3,000 feet for a final gun pass against a moving target. Your final target will be a group of 2 vehicles. The target is moving clockwise around the target array. Target position now marked with red smoke. Cleared hot.
Pull up! Pull up!
¡Ey, cabrones! No los vi. No los vi hasta que me di cuenta. Ah, necesito el tracker. Necesito el tracker.
Pull up! Pull up! Pull up! Pull up!
Necesito el tracker. Ah, ya te vi, ya te vi, ya te vi.
Pull up! Pull up!
Good hits on those targets. Climb out to 3,000 feet and
Altitude!
level out.
Altitude!
Rockets can also be employed in CCRP mode by designating a SPI over the target using the HUD TDC, the TAD cursor, or the TGP. This would allow you to engage from a longer range or even employ a lofting trajectory to reach targets at longer range, but the accuracy of such an attack will be diminished significantly. We'll try using CCRP mode with freefall and precision guided munitions instead. This concludes the training lesson on the use of the gun and unguided rockets against stationary and moving ground targets.
Bueno, por hoy yo creo que ya más que suficiente y mañana más. Gracias a todos los que me habéis seguido hoy y mañana daremos otros tiritos.